Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Canuck Truckin' Podcast. We are so excited to see that you're joining us today. Thanks for the listen. Thanks for the views on YouTube. By all means, please make sure you go to crazycanooktruckin.com. From there, you can follow us to all sorts of social media platforms, send us comments, and better yet, give us good ideas. Maybe there's someone you want to hear us talk to. Speaking of which, the people talking, my name is Bridget. I'm the Size Matters Dakotan. Let me introduce my co-host, who is...
Crazy Canuck Dave. Hey, Size Matters. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. How's it going?
I hear through the grapevine that it's a little bit more seamless for me today than for you. You know, it's been a challenge for you today.
Technology is a beautiful thing when it works. It's an even better thing when it's working again. But the good news is today we have someone with us who's got all her technology, and I bet she's got all her ducks in a row. So I bet things are going pretty well. Do you want to introduce her?
Yes, she's a very smart lady. She has done a ton of amazing work for the trucking industry. She has got a huge heart, and she is somebody I really love. Her name is Linda. So, Linda Corkum, welcome to our program. Tell us who you are.
Thank you. Well, my name is Linda, and I live in Nova Scotia, Canada. Hopefully everyone knows where that is.
It's on the East Coast.
And my background is in workplace health and safety and wellness, and it has been for many years. And the last several years, probably close to 8 years now, the major focus is on mental health and wellness in the workplace. And I facilitate the Working Mind under the Mental Health Commission of Canada's program. So I'm very glad to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
There's something that, let's just jump right into this, because this is a lot of what we do on this program, is telling stories, talking about people that have gone through hard times and find a way to thrive. And one story of yours, Linda, that I have really appreciated is there was a mining disaster in Nova Scotia that you were very involved with the aftermath. And that's the West Ray mine disaster. I think you know where I'm going with this. If you could tell it in your words, what happened there?
Yeah, especially for the kid in the States. I'm going to need some more details here, Linda.
Yes, several years ago, we did have a mine disaster, and 26 miners were killed. And I worked for an insurance organization at the time. So my role there was to assist the families with funeral arrangements, ensuring they have some financial payments issued to them through the insurance company to help them move on. But more importantly, I think it's me as a person. I felt that I wanted to help these people. It was a small mining town, and they were in shock. So I thought, how can I contribute to make their world a little better, given what they were dealing with? And so I created the opportunity, a safe space, if you will, in a place where I was staying during the week. And I created a talking circle. So what they would do when they were comfortable is they would stop in and they would sit and they would just talk. I was a neutral body because I wasn't a family member. I wasn't the employer. I wasn't a coworker. I was neutral, and sometimes they wouldn't talk, but sometimes they did, and they cried, and they hugged each other, and they formed a special bond. And it made me feel really good to allow them to share some of their stories, because that's part of our healing process. We all want to learn about other people, and by hearing what other people say, you learn their perspective, but you also learn their journey, what has brought them to this point, and their perception, because it's coming from their mouths, the story. I could tell a story similar to the next person I was sitting beside, but it would be different because I am not living in that same spot as that individual was. And you learn different things from what you hear. And to my point, by sharing that story with David, he still remembers it. So stories are crucial, and they help with the healing process. And to this day, I can probably tell you the story of every one of those 26 miners because of the information that they said or talked about and the emotions in that talking circle.
That's the part I remember especially too, is that you carry those 26 miners and their stories inside you every day still.
Yeah, I didn't really share that story in depth until I met David when he asked me for some examples of stories. And because I'm more the listener, I'm used to people telling me their stories so I can determine how I can help them from the information they're giving me. So I'm more the listener. But right now, you're the listeners because you're listening to my story.
So how did you get there, Linda? Are you a licensed counselor? How did you get to the point where you knew you could step in and be of benefit to them?
I think it's my upbringing. I come from a family of deaf parents, and I'm the oldest daughter. So I always had to be the voice and the ears for my parents. So I believe I grew up quicker than I should have, if you will. And everything I do, I always say, so how would I explain this to my mom and dad in a way they would understand? And I still do that when I write or when I go to talk to somebody or try to explain something. How do I explain this to somebody who can't hear?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get that information across so that they understand? And that's what I continue to do today.
I never thought about that when you're speaking. If I assume you're communicating a lot through sign language.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a friend, haven't seen for a long time, but she's deaf, and something I didn't know beforehand was that they speak in shorthand to each other. So we can talk like I do. I say sometimes way too many words, use 20 words when 3 would have been sufficient. So you really learned how to boil down something into something you can communicate quickly and clearly. That's
just the facts.
Just the facts.
And that really shows in good writing, but also in good listening skills, because you can find the point. You can hear all the words, but you can understand the point they really need to get to, and you can get there faster.
And sometimes they don't understand what the point is until I listen, and then I ask questions, because I like to acknowledge what they're saying so that they know I'm listening. And then by asking them questions or coming back with some responses to what they're telling me, or even summarizing what they're telling me, they know I'm paying attention. And then my wheels are turning to say, okay, what is the real concern? Or what is the point they want me to know or hear or deal with? And that's just how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were part of this, was it like it was a workers' compensation insurance deal, right?
Yeah.
For the government,
insurance.
for the government of Nova Scotia.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you were instrumental in setting up another organization for truckers, Nova Scotia Trucking Safety Association.
Yeah, so in my role with the Workers' Compensation Board, I was a caseworker for many years, and I had different different industries, helping workers and employers ensure that somebody was able to go back to some capacity to earn a living. And then we received the mandate to implement a prevention department. It moved over from Department of Labor to Prevention Services. So I started up the prevention department at the Workers' Compensation Board. And then I was seconded to the Trucking Safety Association. It had just started up to help educate the trucking industry about the huge costs associated with a workplace injury, and that there are things that you can do as an employer and as a worker to return to a valuable life and be a valuable person in life. And that's where I was focused on trucking and knew we had to do something. And we had a board of directors, and they were the sample we were going to use, the protocol we were going to use to show the business case works. And I was there for, I think I was there for 2 or 3 years. And anyway, I went back to the Workers' Compensation Board, and then the person who I reported to when I was at Trucking Safety left the organization, and I applied for the job. And luckily, I was the appropriate candidate. So I said, okay, I'm here for a 3-year plan. Okay, so 15 years later, which was last year, I said, I think this 3 years has gone on long enough.
Yeah.
It's time. So it was time. But I still continue to do facilitation for mental health. I strongly believe in it. I know there's a need, and it's all about starting a conversation. It starts with having a conversation, that healing process. And I thoroughly enjoy, I still listen to the stories and offer assistance to see how I can help. So stories, we're human beings. We learn through stories, just like you're learning through listening to me talk today, and I've listened to David over the years as well. So that's a summary of my life. So now you know quite a bit about me.
So I was thinking about what you said, how mental health, how much it matters. Did you think that all the way along, or was there a turning point in your career where you went, okay, we can't just focus on the physical. We have to focus on the mental for people too?
Yeah. So when I learned more and more about mental health and the impact it has on an injury, I asked a few of the trucking companies if we could have a snapshot of the workplace injuries that they had. And there were some companies where the costs were going up. And so I said, we need to really dive into this to say, why is this person really still off work? So we took a sample of a number of companies and said, okay, this person had a physical injury. It appears the physical injury has healed. So what is stopping this worker from going back to work? So I said, let's look at the description of accident. So when you look at the description of accident, I said, so how have you interacted with this worker? How have you made him feel valued even though he's off work? And given the trauma, if you read that description of accident, there's a psychological component as to why that person is not back to work. And we have not paid attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get me on a roll. Be careful.
That's okay. I'm okay with your role, because, all right, that's one point that people need to remember. What happened in that accident? Did we make that person feel valuable? So what's the next thing you want them to know or to focus on?
The whole person, not the injury, not just the injury, not the psychological, but the impact it has on their family, whether it be their spouse or their children. It impacts them differently, but it has an impact, because if you're used to being on the road and all of a sudden you're home for 6 weeks or 6 months, look what it does to the dynamics in the family and yourself. You know, that it's huge. And that stalls the recovery process because you're not dealing with the whole scenario and helping people feel better about themselves psychologically, or giving them, you know, easy things to do like the deep breathing exercises, or going for a walk, or helping them do activities or hobbies to help them with that mental component of healing.
Right. Right.
I've been through this too many times, as you know, and as most of the listeners know. I've been through some tough times with injuries and rehab, and until I really understood the mental aspect, I really wasn't. It was, you can't win a battle if you don't understand what you're battling against, you know. And for me, that we need all the different ways of dealing with injuries, mind, body, soul, and they all have to work together all the time, you know. And it's one thing to just fix up the physical, but you know, if you get somebody that gets burnt in a truck, you know, or has a truck fire that they barely escape out of, and I know people that's happened to, and then far too often you're getting people to say, well, just get back in a truck, and you got to face your fears head on, you know, you just got to push, and you know, and sometimes that's absolutely the wrong thing to do, you know.
Suck it up and move on. That's what they used to say.
And you've dealt with the burn, maybe of whatever the burn, but you haven't dealt with the mental part of it.
Yeah.
You know, you can probably help us with that, Linda. You know, explain how the importance of that. I know from my own experience, and you have experience with dealing with the companies and trying to get it through to them and helping supervisors understand these kinds of things.
And the supervisors from my life experience are put in a job without that training to identify and the tools to help. They're there to supervise, you know, get the product down the line, get it out the door, make sure that everybody shows up for work, and if they don't, who's the backfill, and a coach to some extent. But I truly believe we're not near where we should be with educating our supervisors on dealing with the mental health of everyday life, because life is stressful today, even without going on the road or being faced with a trauma. Life is very challenging, especially these last 2 years. We're all facing some type of a mental issue, and we don't even know it because we've been confined to barracks for a long time. We have to wear a mask when we go out. And now we've got to find our vaccination thing on our phone or in our purses before we go into a building. And that's not even a workplace injury or a trauma yet, you know?
Yeah.
That was going to be my question. My next question to you, Linda, is do you think progress has been made with those supervisors, with the companies that you work with, that they remember to look at the whole person when people are coming back from injuries?
It starts at the top.
Okay.
You have to walk the walk and talk the talk, because if the CEO isn't on board, then the supervisors aren't going to get to where they should be or want to be with regards to helping their workers. And now with the shortage of workers that we have, where are we going to find these able bodies to help our economy?
Right.
And to help themselves? I mean, we've all got bills to pay. Most people want to work. People want to work. It's healthy, and they don't like it when they have to stay home for whatever reason. And I'm one of them. I don't want to stay home. I need to be active. I need to do something.
There's a fulfillment part that you need to have, or that we need to have as human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to feel like we've done something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So What's the, let's say we have a big boss, a CEO that is on board with the mental health aspect and teaching and learning. Is there any way you've come up with that's easiest to get it through to the supervisors?
It's in the few that I know where they are moving forward with regards to mental health. It has taken a lot of positive reinforcement, connecting, constant communication, constant positive communication, and acknowledging. When they acknowledge a supervisor is doing something that is along this process of ensuring that the holistic part of the person is taken into consideration, then they need to be thanked for what they do. It doesn't cost anything to acknowledge somebody's positive behavior. And I don't believe we do enough of that. We're very quick to judge and provide negative comments. But now it's time to stop and say, thanks for doing what you do. And, or if there's a scenario or something took place that had a positive result, take the time to say thank you.
But I also think it has to be genuine.
Absolutely.
If you are getting that, as someone who, there are times where you do receive that, you got the attaboy for doing well. But because of whether it's a prior relationship with that supervisor, or if it's because you just know better, you go, that was false. So when you said it starts at the top and it starts with those people, it absolutely has to be genuine. And if you're not genuine, it shows.
And they need to accept that they need to learn this. This has to be taught, learned, absorbed, and practiced. It's a change for the CEOs to have to do this because it's a new culture, if you will. You're changing the culture of an organization. That takes years to do. But if you could,
especially if they're old school and they're just get right back up on that horse, it's going to be okay. Right.
That's right. And then you have the younger generation who want work-life balance. So, and then you have the people in the middle that have a little bit of both, but they were given the job because of their longevity in an organization, probably great dedicated employees, but there's this world that they have not been provided education, training, or given the skills to perform so that we all feel valued in the workplace and we want to come back to work. And the presenteeism hopefully disappears, the absenteeism disappears, and everybody is in a better place.
So when you get that work-life balance thing perfected, I know exactly what it should be. Kindly let me know. I'm not sure what that looks like yet. In fact, most of the women in my industry have no idea how we get the stuff done we do.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Thank you.
Something size matters that strikes me about Linda is that she has the attitude of somebody that just came out of school. And that you are, Linda, you are always learning. You're always looking for better ways to do things, new ways to do things. You've never become stale in your job.
Well, I must tell you something. I'll tell you a story. I have a few grandchildren, and I thought that they should learn how to play the ukulele. So I bought I have a set of twins. One's a girl, one's a boy. So I bought him a red one because he likes red, and she has a pink one. And I don't see them that often, but I do see them some weekends. So I went out today and bought a ukulele and signed up for ukulele classes so I can teach those grandchildren how to play the ukulele.
Nice.
That's where I just came from.
Nice.
I think that's awesome. And as someone who had a rather snarky tweet just yesterday about a ukulele, you have no idea how funny I find that. No idea.
Good. No, I'm going to learn how to do it, and I'm going to teach them how to play the ukulele.
Because
Nice.
I tweeted that I was going through an employee recognition website, right? Someone earned points, you get to spend the points on your gift that type of thing. And one of the items that was on that points list was indeed a ukulele. And I wanted to meet the person who would order the ukulele for their award gift at work. And you know what? I think I just did.
I can send you a link.
I want, when you do your YouTube concert videos, could you just share those? That would be ideal for me. Okay.
Yeah, we are doing a Christmas concert on December 20th. So
nice. That's fantastic.
Guess what's going to be in the show notes? Yeah.
We'll be sending that out when that link is available. I know Victoria will be all over it.
Yeah. That's cool. And that's something, that the youth you have inside you, Linda, is something that has always struck me from the first time I got to know you. I really appreciate that. I've never really cared about a person's age, because I've had people tell me, well, this is the way we've always done it, or this is how, they get so stale. And I've told people all my life, just because you've done it this way for 20 years doesn't mean that that's the best way to do something. Just because you have 20 years experience and I have 2 doesn't mean you can't listen to what I'm saying as a truck driver. And I had that many times. I always looked very young when I was early in my career, and I was trying to teach older people how to do the job. And they had such a hard time quite often with this young punk trying to teach them something because, well, I've been doing such and such for 20 or 30 years. I'm like, well, you're not doing it right. Isn't that a clue? And to remain fresh and to remain somebody that is always learning is so important.
I believe in lifelong learning. I've always believed in that. Every day I need to learn something. And if I guess it could be an issue that I have with myself, but I have to go find out all about it. And then that takes me down another road. And then I keep going. And the next thing you know, I need 10 days a week instead of 7.
Yes. If there could be a day between Saturday and Sunday, that would help me out a lot. I really could use that. But that lifelong learning, that's what keeps the energy. That's what helps you keep going. And who else would have thought to not only buy their grandkids ukuleles, but learn to play it herself? Well, only you, Linda. I can see that already.
Have you, if you could, we'll close out with this, Linda. Has there been some trip you've been on sometime, somewhere, that has really stood out for some epic reason or another? Just something that is like, if you're sitting around shooting the breeze with friends and you like to tell this certain story about a trip you were on.
I don't know that it's clean enough for this show.
You know how many times we run across that?
That doesn't matter. I can just guarantee it. That doesn't matter.
Well, I have to say, I've had a good life. I've had challenges in my life. And I've seen a lot of places in the world that I never thought I'd ever see. But it's because I had a dream. I have lots of dreams, and I try to fulfill those dreams because you don't know when your last day is. So I'm pushed the envelope because I bought a bicycle this year. So now I go biking on the trails. I got tired of walking during COVID, so I got a bike. So now I'm on the ukulele. So I guess the next one will be starting a band. I don't know, but I'll check with you in a few months and let you know where I'm at.
If you start playing the ukulele while you're biking, that's a vision I would also like to see, please.
Well, I'm on the safety side of the world, so I have to be very cautious. I have to make sure I have my vest on and my hard hat and my safety shoes first. I don't know if I can maneuver all that, but who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? You know what? Maybe you just need to take up a unicycle and then you'd have hands free.
Remember this?
Yes, Frank and Shifty.
I got Frank here. I got Frank.
Yeah.
So those were a safety campaign that you did?
Yeah. I have my picture on the wall that Linda had done for me, but I haven't. I didn't take it down. But
Your caricature.
Caricature, yeah. So
Nice.
she, when I came out to speak at the 20-year anniversary, 20 years, right? 20-year anniversary. Then she had a caricature made up of me. It looks surprisingly
we brought
like
you
too.
in. We brought you in to share your story because you had a story, you had a journey. And as you know, you received a standing ovation, and people really walked away thinking about what you said, how it impacted your world, because there were people in that room that had similar experiences and were impacted in a similar way. So I thank you graciously for that. And I haven't forgotten that story either.
It was that was a quiet room when I was speaking.
But that means that audience was very engaged. That's very important.
And there was some emotion. There was some emotion too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but it was
bad.
real. It was a real story.
Yes, that's not bad.
So that's what we'd like to do here. It's been hard to get out and see as many people during the COVID time. So I had this dream or idea of starting a podcast. I figured, I can do that.
Sure.
And I roped Bridget into it because she says she likes to talk.
Yeah, and he picked like the world's less okay co-host.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think we're all unique. We all have our strengths, and having things a little different, that's good. It keeps life interesting.
It does.
That's a great way to end it. So for VIP and everyone, thank you for spending your time with us today. Thank you, Linda, for coming on the show, and we'll have to get you on another time because there's far more that we could discuss with you. You have a wealth of knowledge, and we'll have some show notes and links for people to follow whatever you send to us, Linda. So close us out.
I will tell you. I will tell you. December 20th will not be tiptoe through the tulips. I want to assure you of that. Okay.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Okay. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Linda,
and all the best.
So much fun to visit with you today. Just thank you for taking the time and leaving some teaching moments with us.
We'll be in touch.
All right. To everyone who's listening, we appreciate you taking time out of your day with us as well. Thank you so much. Follow us at Crazy Canuck Truckin' on social media, and also reach out to us at crazycanooktruckin@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody. Have a safe day.
Bye.